And these meetings, of course, are happening against the backdrop of Donald Trump's trade war. The impact of his tariffs is starting to hit home for many American businesses, and consumers are feeling it too, from the cost of cars to a cup of coffee. The CBC's Mike Crawley has been looking into this for us from Washington. Mike, how are these tariffs starting to be felt south of the border?
Yeah, Deanna, this is one of these trends that doesn't arrive with a bang, happening all at once. It's really been emerging over the past few weeks, particularly in the financial reports that we're seeing from big companies. Take a look at these numbers. First of all, we had the big automakers saying that the tariffs cost them huge dollar amounts this past quarter. So just over a 3-month period, $1.1 billion for GM, $800 million for Ford. Then you had Apple looking ahead and forecasting that its tariff costs in this quarter are going to be $1.1 billion. And the leading tool maker in the U.S., Stanley Black & Decker, it's estimating its hit this year will be $800 million. These are huge numbers for the bottom line of these big American companies. But what's a little harder to spot with the tariffs if you're a consumer is the effect on your own wallet. It's not like there's a line on a sales receipt saying, here's what you're paying for the tariffs here in the U.S. A lot of companies have been also trying to avoid passing on the rising costs to customers. Either they rushed in a bunch of supplies ahead of Donald Trump's tariff deadlines, or they simply absorbed the tariff hit as a cost of doing business. But you do see some growing signs of price increases, a little bit here, a little bit there. The news agency Reuters is tracking companies that have explicitly increased prices because of tariffs, and you got some big name retailers, Walmart, Best Buy. You've also got companies that make everything from the shampoo brands that Americans use on their hair down to the shoe brands that they put on their feet. So little by little, the costs of President Donald Trump's tariffs are starting to show here in the U.S., Deanna.
Yeah, as you pointed out, Mike, it's not something like, people wake up one day and they feel it. It really kind of comes in dribs and drabs in a cup of coffee, so to speak. Talk to me a little bit about how those raised prices are affecting the public opinion in the U.S. Are they? Yeah,
it's not really clear yet that it's bitten that deeply into public opinion. There are polls that say there's more Americans who dislike tariffs than like them, or dislike President Trump's policy on tariffs. But you've got the factor of the president and his administration really brushing aside any evidence that the tariffs are actually costing Americans. They're just talking about how much money it's bringing in, and rejecting the idea that the slump in job growth has anything to do with the tariffs. And of course, the president even fired the head of the statistics agency that produced that produces the jobs report. So I spoke with an economist at a policy think tank here in Washington. Here's his view.
I think the administration is going to have a really hard time trying to convince the American people that some of the price increases they're seeing are because of other factors not related to the tariffs. I just don't think most people are going to be fooled by that.
And we're going to see what happens when that cup of coffee you were talking about, Deanna, actually raises in price, because the big tariffs on Brazil. Brazil is the country that is responsible for about a third of coffee imports here in the U.S. So when that kicks in, if that causes the price of the morning cup of coffee to go up, maybe that's going to have an impact. The tariffs on imports from roughly 100 different trading partners with the U.S. are due to go up this week from their current baseline. So look, these tariff-related costs are pretty much headed nowhere but up.
Mike, thank you so much for that. Very interesting to see what impact, if any, that'll have on Donald Trump's popularity. Some people say he won because of the price of eggs. So we're about to see whether that price of coffee is going to have any impact there. Thank you, Mike.
You're welcome.
That's CBC's Mike Crawley in Washington.